Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. You think you're poor because you own nothing. Wrong. You're poor because your mind is chained. Machiavelli warned us. Poverty isn't the absence of cash. It's the absence of power. And the truth is harsh. The world doesn't feel sorry for the weak. It survives off them. The moment you start begging for mercy, you're not seeking help. You're announcing to everyone that you're easy to control. See, society trained you to fear lack. They told you to stay humble, stay silent, and be thankful for leftovers. They told you to pray for a better tomorrow instead of creating one. And while you waited, the powerful worked quietly, taking everything you were told to wait for. That's how they break you, not with chains, but with obedience. Not by stealing your money, but by hijacking your mind. Machiavelli saw this long ago. Men are simple and slaves to the moment. The deceiver will always find those willing to be deceived. When your reality depends on approval, you're already defeated. When you believe poverty is forever, it becomes your faith. But here's the truth they never wanted you to know. You can be broke and still be powerful. You can be surrounded by nothing and still move like a ruler. Because rulers aren't defined by riches, they're defined by control. The real war isn't for wealth. It's for command over your emotions, your time, and your focus. A man who masters those masters the world. So stop saying I'm broke. Start saying I'm building. Stop saying I have nothing. Start saying I need nothing. Because when you stop seeing yourself as a victim, the world stops treating you like one. This isn't motivation. This is war. And today I'll show you how to think like power, even when the world labels you poor. Now I want you to drop this in the comments. My mind is my fortune. Rule number 1. Poverty is a mental virus. You're not poor because you lack things. You're poor because you've been conditioned to think small, to kneel in spirit long before life ever made you. Poverty starts as an infection of the mind, a virus that reprograms your thoughts to obey, to settle, to accept mediocrity as fate. The world doesn't need to shackle you if your thoughts already are. Society calls it humility, but it's actually mental submission, that quiet belief that you were born to serve instead of to rule. This belief creeps into your habits, your speech, your posture, until you start apologizing for wanting more. The poor man's curse isn't his lack of assets. It's his devotion to limitation. He looks at power and brands it evil because, deep down, he fears he'll never own it. That fear becomes his ruler. Machiavelli once said, "He who gains control of a city used to freedom and does not destroy it will be destroyed by it." The same law governs your mind. If you don't destroy the weak thoughts that dominate you, they'll destroy your potential. Every time you whisper, "I can't," every time you envy instead of plan, you're feeding that virus. You surrender the throne in your head to doubt, to comfort, to fear. The system feeds on that weakness. It doesn't want leaders. It wants laborers. It praises obedience and punishes defiance. And the second you start questioning why you live like a servant, they brand you arrogant. But arrogance isn't your enemy. It's the first flicker of self-respect. The mind that refuses to kneel is the mind that begins to reign. Dark psychology reveals one truth. Control always begins with perception. If you see yourself as less, the world will treat you as less. You broadcast poverty long before you ever live it. Your energy tells others whether they can rule over you. That's why the wealthy can lose everything and still rebuild. Their minds were never trained to bow. The poor, meanwhile, could win millions and still think like servants. They'd waste fortune trying to look rich instead of learning how to stay powerful. It was never about money. It's always been about mentality. When your mind is wired to depend, you'll always kneel before those who seem stronger. Break that wiring. Stop begging for rescue. Stop believing someone's coming to save you. No one is coming, and that's your greatest advantage. Because once you accept that, you become untouchable. You stop asking for permission to rise. You start moving with silent precision, and the world starts to bend around your will. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, your mind reclaims a piece of its throne. Every time you reject self-pity, you starve the virus. Poverty doesn't live in your wallet, it lives in your thoughts. And only you can burn it out. You must see yourself as dangerous, as capable, as unbreakable, because the mind that refuses to kneel can never be possessed. Now drop this affirmation in the comments. My mind bows to no one. Number 2, power is performance. The world doesn't reward truth, it rewards dominance. Most never grasp this because they're addicted to seeming honest instead of appearing strong. But Machiavelli understood. Image shapes perception, and perception commands power. When you look weak, you invite hunters. When you act helpless, you grant permission to be ruled. People aren't kind. They're calculating. They study you quietly. Your tone, your gaze, your stance, searching for weakness. And the instant they find it, you become prey. That's why power is a performance. You must embody strength until it becomes your nature. You must train your face to project certainty even when your soul is on fire. The powerful remain unshaken because they grasp one ruthless truth. The world cannot tell the difference between confidence and reality. If you look untouchable, you become untouchable. Machiavelli once said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know who you truly are." He understood that most men live by perception. That illusion often outweighs truth. This is dark psychology, the art of shaping perception to dictate outcomes. The common man displays his pain. The superior man conceals it like a weapon. Even in chaos, he stands motionless while others collapse. That calmness unnerves the weak because it shatters their illusion of control. Never appear defeated, even when you're bleeding. That's not deceit. That's strategy. You wear confidence like armor, so your enemies exhaust themselves attacking your surface while you rebuild behind it in silence. The moment you appear helpless, respect dies. Respect isn't granted to the fragile. It's earned by the man who makes others question his limits. And that doubt is your weapon. In a room full of noise, be the one who listens. When chaos strikes, be the last to speak. Move deliberately. Hold your gaze steady. The man who appears composed commands the tempo. Weakness isn't just physical. It leaks through emotion, through reaction, through tone. If your face reveals fear, you've already lost the fight. Confidence is camouflage. It disguises your insecurity and blinds your rivals. Use it with precision. Let people assume you know more than you do. Let them believe you have allies in the shadows. Let them overestimate your power. It's far safer than being underestimated. The world worships appearances more than reality. That's why kings wear crowns even as their empires fall, because they understand this. Power lives in the performance of authority. You must craft that presence even when your pockets are empty. Stand tall, speak less, control your movements. You don't need luxury to command attention. You need composure. That's the difference between men who lead and men who obey. Every glance, every motion, every silence, it's part of your performance. You're not faking power. You're training others to recognize it. And once they do, you begin to believe it yourself. That belief rewires your destiny. The poor move small because they think small. The powerful move grand because they refuse to be anything less. Never appear helpless again, because the instant you do, the world will rush to confirm it. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I perform power flawlessly. Number 3, the poor man's trap. The deepest poverty isn't financial, It's emotional dependence. Most people aren't pursuing success. They're chasing validation. They crave to be seen, to be understood, to be accepted. That's the poor man's trap. It looks harmless, but it drains your power faster than hunger ever could. The moment you need others to define your worth, you surrender ownership of your identity. Machiavelli understood this clearly. He said, "It is far safer to be feared than loved if you must choose." Why? Because love depends on others, but fear is something you can manufacture yourself. Validation is a leash disguised as comfort. When you beg for it, you declare that your emotions are for sale, and the world loves buyers. It gives them nothing and takes everything. The weak speak too much, explaining, defending, pleading to be understood. But the powerful know this: silence cuts deeper than speech. Silence makes people wonder. Wonder makes them uneasy, and unease breeds respect. The poor mistake noise for strength, believing if they talk enough, they'll finally be believed. But in truth, every extra word is an open admission of insecurity. Weakness always exposes itself. It seeks understanding. Power never explains. Power never justifies. The lion doesn't explain its roar. The world already understands what it means. That's how you must move. Every time you plead to be noticed, you shrink your value. Every time you justify your pain, you surrender your edge. The poor chase attention because it's the only currency they believe they have left. But the rich in spirit, they wield mystery as power. They don't display their suffering, they weaponize it. They enter every room like they owe nothing to anyone. That is dominance. Dark psychology teaches one thing clearly: people only value what they cannot fully read. If they can predict you, they can direct you. If they can read your emotions, they can rewrite your behavior. The antidote is restraint. Let your silence do the talking. Watch how the atmosphere shifts when you stop explaining yourself. They begin to respect you, not because you demand it, but because your calm unreadability unsettles them. People fear what they can't decipher, and within that mystery, your power is born. The poor man craves attention. The powerful man craves control. Stop chasing validation like a child chasing fire. You don't need anyone's permission to possess strength. You don't need applause to confirm your worth. Let them misjudge you. It's a small price to pay for command. The truth is, validation is addiction. It feels sweet at first, but it enslaves you quietly. Every like, every compliment, every nod of approval becomes another shackle. Break it. Walk away from it. Be willing to be misunderstood, even hated, because that's the toll for true independence. Weak men fear being disliked. Strong men know that influence always breeds enemies. So choose respect over affection, mystery over exposure, command over comfort. Stop explaining. Stop defending. Simply exist with quiet authority. That's how kings move. The moment you stop begging to be understood, you begin to be obeyed. Now drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence speaks power. Number 4, think like a king. A man with nothing to lose is dangerous, but a man who behaves as though he already reigns is untouchable. This is the psychology of kingship. It begins not with possessions, but with perception. The poor man waits for abundance before he feels worthy. The powerful man turns scarcity into fuel for domination. Machiavelli once said, "The first method of judging a ruler's intelligence is to look at the men around him." Kings understand this. The quality of their circle reflects the strength of their mind. So even when you have nothing, you must act as though your presence and time are priceless. When you move like a king, the world adjusts and treats you like one. Every gesture, every decision, every silence must broadcast authority. The world believes what you project. Project control. and it will submit. Project desperation, and it will devour you. Even in poverty, you can carry yourself with composure. Your voice can remain steady, your eyes unshaken, your emotions locked behind the fortress of discipline. These are weapons no one can take from you. The man who commands himself commands destiny. Thinking like a king means refusing to join the chaos. It means standing still while others panic. You don't react, you respond. You don't chase validation. You let your presence speak. When you enter a room, measure it in silence, not with arrogance, but with precision. Kings never rush because haste belongs to the desperate. They move slowly, not from hesitation, but from the confidence of control. This is dark psychology in its purest form. Control perception, and you control the result. Every word you speak must sound deliberate. Every choice must appear final. People respect confidence that doesn't beg for proof. Become that presence. The man who never claims power because power radiates from his restraint. The illusion of certainty is worth more than the reality of wealth. The poor display stress, the royal display nothing. Kings know emotions are currency, and wasting them in public is like burning gold. Even with nothing, you can rule through composure. You can command your body language, your reactions, your narrative. Even your silence can dominate a room if it's reinforced by conviction. The weak believe material things create status. The strong know status is energy. It's in how you sit, how you speak, how you breathe. Master those, and you can lose everything yet still look like the one in control. That illusion terrifies the insecure. People serve confidence because it gives them something to believe in. They'd rather follow a calm liar than a panicked truth teller. That's human nature, and Machiavelli understood it completely. He knew leadership is theater, and every man is an actor. You must play your role so flawlessly that even your reflection begins to believe it. Act like a king long enough, and the world will eventually obey that script. It's not pretense, it's programming. Programming your mind to command, not comply. Never appear defeated, even when surrounded by loss. Never lower your tone, even when you doubt, because the moment you act powerless, you become it. Royalty isn't about crowns, it's about control. You must think, breathe, and move like power itself. Kings are not born, they are declared. Declare it now. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I move like a king. Number 5, detachment makes you dangerous. The man who needs nothing controls everything. That truth is what terrifies the world most, because society survives on dependency. Every advertisement, every relationship, every system is built to make you crave, to make you need, to make you attach. But the instant you stop needing approval, comfort, or certainty, you become untouchable. Machiavelli once said, "Men are driven by two principal forces, love and fear. The detached man is feared because he cannot be ruled by either. When you no longer hunger for validation, no one can tempt you. When you stop needing affection, no one can wound you. When you quit chasing money, people start offering it just to earn your attention. Detachment isn't coldness, it's control. It's the mastery of desire so that desire no longer masters you. Weak men worship what they lack. Strong men study what they want and decide calmly whether it deserves their energy. Detachment is the line between desperation and dominance. It makes your presence heavier, your decisions sharper, your energy unpredictable. And unpredictability is pure power. People fear what they cannot forecast because unpredictability steals their sense of control. That's why the man who stays composed while everyone else is emotional becomes the center of gravity in any room. He doesn't react, he calculates. He doesn't beg, he chooses. His silence makes others speak. His stillness makes others restless. This is dark psychology at its highest tier. The less you reveal need, the more control you gain over those who do. When you detach, you stop living for other people's expectations. You are no longer manipulated by the fear of loss. You stop reacting to insults, delays, betrayals, even praise. You become emotionally self-contained, and that makes you unpredictable. The world can't play games with the man who refuses to play. The poor man clings to everything, money, people, opinions, because his identity depends on them. The powerful man can walk away from anything and remain himself. Detachment builds that strength. It's the silent declaration that nothing owns you, not success, not failure, not even love. That isn't heartlessness. It's emotional strategy. Machiavelli would call it power through independence, the ability to rule yourself so completely that no one else ever can. You can love deeply, but you must never need deeply. You can care, but never depend. That distinction divides kings from captives. The detached mind doesn't rush, doesn't chase, doesn't prove. It lets others drain themselves trying to impress or decode. Meanwhile, it watches, gathering information, calculating the perfect moment to strike. That is control, acting when you choose, not when provoked. You must learn to detach from outcomes because obsession clouds judgment, while detachment sharpens it. When you stop demanding success immediately, you start making decisions that actually build it. When you stop fearing loss, you stop surrendering power. Detachment keeps you silent while others panic. It keeps you mysterious while others overshare. It turns pain into precision, rejection into focus. It isn't the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of emotion, the power to choose where to invest it. The world cannot ensnare a man who refuses to be owned by desire. Once you reach that state, people begin chasing your attention because your indifference makes them feel insignificant. That is dominance. Detachment doesn't weaken connection, it defines it. It teaches others that your time, your energy, your peace are luxuries, not entitlements. The man who can walk away from everything is the man no one dares to challenge. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Nothing owns me. Number 6, turn pain into power. Pain is not your enemy. It is your initiation. Every wound you've endured, every betrayal you've survived, every loss you've buried was training you to evolve beyond emotion and into calculation. Machiavelli once said, "Never waste the opportunity offered by a good crisis." He understood that suffering is not just something to survive, it's something to harness. The weak collapse under pain because they believe it's punishment. The strong rise through it because they know it's data. Every injury delivers information about people, your limits, yourself. Pain is pure clarity. It removes illusions, strips away lies, and reveals who's real and who's pretending. That's why most men run from it. They can't face truth without comfort. But the man who endures without breaking becomes untouchable. Pain exposes weakness, but it also uncovers strength. The difference between slaves and strategists is how they process suffering. The slave complains. The strategist analyzes. He studies the pattern of betrayal, dissects it, refines his defenses. He doesn't drown in heartbreak. He forges it into armor. Every insult becomes a lesson in human nature. Every humiliation, a reminder of what he will never tolerate again. That is Machiavellian transformation, using suffering as the raw material for dominance.